Hey, hello, good morning. I'm gonna try to show you a few things you can do with chenille. You might think, chenille, no big deal, just wind it on the hook. And that's sort of true. Some different things you can do in terms of how you wind it on the hook. Now I've got a little bit of this Arctic fox. I'm gonna tie in the tail. That's all good. Now I'll get myself a piece of chenille. Get some nice purple here. And tie it on like this. Right in the back. Move my thread forward. Okay, let's wind that body. Here we go, it's looking good. That's interesting. I think you can see the chenille in the back. The body in the back is thicker than it is up front. Okay, now you may want your fly that way, but you may not. So the reason that happened is that you've got your tail material just goes to here, and then your chenille you've tied on just goes to here, so it's a thicker base. So let's redo that. So let's say I want to get a nice, even body on this fly. So let's start again. And let's get my tail. Let's measure to about there. And now let's wind the tail on over that entire area. Okay, work our thread back. And now let's tie on our chenille over the entire area. So now we should wind up with a body that's quite uniform. And I think we did. And let's say this body is too thick. It's thicker than what we want to have. So how could we, using chenille, of course we could use dubbing to get a more slender body. How could we get a more slender body with chenille? So let's not mess with that base, but let's take our chenille, and instead of tying it in like this, let's strip off, and we just got thread there. So let's pinch that and tie it in right at the back, just the thread. Okay, let's get a little bit of cement here on this base, which is, I shouldn't have done that. It's gonna make it hard to unwind. Okay, so let me, given that I'm gonna, the next thing I want to illustrate is adding a rib. Let's put in a rib. You know, I'm making this up as I go. Okay, remember the chenille is just tied in by that thread instead of winding those fibers down. I think you'll find that this chenille body still got some substance to it, but it's a little bit slimmer. And now let's see what it looks like if I add a silver oval rib. Kind of nice. Now I trim this off. I could just trim it off like this. and wind it down. But this is going to make a thick lump. So what I really would like to do, let me do this with tweezers. I think you might be able to see it better if my fingers aren't covering that up. You just strip out those fibers so you have a finer tie-in point. Okay? So, you got a chenille body. You could do it thicker, thinner, with oval tinsel. Let's try something else you might be able. What happens if you combine a couple colors? Now let's spread those both out. So we could wrap like this. Could wrap like that. Get kind of a spiral effect. You could get that a similar effect by winding one piece of chenille first. And then winding the second piece over it. That makes a thicker body because you got two layers instead of one layer, alternating. What else could we do with it? Okay. Okay, twist them up. See how that looks? Pretty cool. Let's go around and around and around and around. So I think you get the idea. But let's like that. So that's kind of interesting. Boy, the belly. So, you know, I don't know. I don't do this often enough to predict how it's going to come out, but we kind of have a purple belly and a flame orange back, but it's not symmetrical. I'll bet you if you if you worked with how tightly you wind the chenille and how you wrap it on, I'll bet you could come up with some different patterns in that. Anyway, that's something to consider. Kind of a fun thing you can do with chenille. Let's try something else. Let's say you want to make a chenille body that is considerably thicker in the front than it is in the back. Tie on a piece of chenille here, and let's make it that long. Okay, here's a piece of tinsel. Let's go forward here. Now let's put in another piece of chenille. And this one, we're not going to strip the fibers off. We're going to time that big old lump. And we are going to wrap right there. I think you can see what's going to happen here. And I am going to pull out that bulky material. Now I'm going to wind. Remember I said I wanted to get a nice taper from the back to the front of the fly. See, so now it's almost level, but when I start winding here, the forefront of the fly is indeed thicker. Now we can wind our tinsel rib. So that is how you get a tapered body. Now, if you want to have thick all the way through, you would tie in a single piece of chenille here, wrap it to the back, and then turn around and wrap it to the front, and it would be thick over the entire length of the fly. So at this point, I'm going to say, let's finish this fly off, and I'm going to, excuse me, let's finish this fly off, and I'm going to use a piece of this, it's wire-free synthetic fox brush. It's a craft fur, and I'm going to use it instead of hackle. Hackle's great, saddle hackle, schlappen, it's all good. One of the nice things about this material is it just wind it on, and it makes it doesn't retain water. It gives you some fullness to the fly. It makes a nice sparse hackle. A little bit of fuzziness all around. So it's going to be interesting to see if I've left myself enough room for a wing. Okay, there's my hackle. I'm going to use moose body hair for the wing. I've got that. I got way more than I need there. Let's get my little magic hair stacker. Get my little hair stacker, and I'll stack it right there. Let's pull it off. Got those little tips coming out. Be a steelhead fly. Don't want those fibers to be super long, so let's make them about that length. Trim the ends. Now this moose body will compress very nicely, so I don't need to tie down much at all. See, that's just a little bit. I'd like to keep the thread wraps on the head of this fly fairly small. Let's turn around there. That doesn't quite look as neat as I'd like it to. Let's see if I can. That's why it's nice to have a rotary function, so I can look at the back side of your fly. That's better. I'm going to push that down. I'm going to try to get all that craft fur out of the way. Tie myself a little whip finish. 2, 3. And I'm going to put my scissors in that loop, slide it up so I don't form a knot. I'm going to trim it. And there we go. So, we've got a really nice steelhead fly here. Summer fish, winter fish, they'll all take this. There we go. We've seen many forms of creating that chenille body. I hope you found some of that interesting. And tie some up, get out there on the water. Thank you.